Welcome back, Seekers. This is part 2 of our science exploration of the mother wound with Dr. DeMarty Burgos. Now, in part 1, we talked about how early attachment shapes the nervous system and the patterns we carry forward. That conversation connects to a much larger cultural moment, one you may have seen recently with Oprah, hosting conversations about family estrangement and the rise of adult children choosing distance or no contact. Today we go deeper, beneath the decisions and labels, into where beliefs form, how trauma lives in the body, and what healing and wholeness can actually look like in daily life. We'll also talk about parenting, multi-generational patterns, and a theme we see over and over again on our show, how healing ourselves becomes medicine for the generations that follow. And just a quick heads up, we do reference domestic violence and abuse in this episode, so please pause or step away if you need to. We'll be right here when you're ready to come back. This is Perspective Shifts for Healing with the Hanged Woman, where perspective is power. Let's get into it. Hey Seekers, if you're building a business and something feels off, like you're doing all the right things, but the momentum still isn't there, it might not just be a strategy problem. At 3 of Cups Healing, we offer intuitive marketing solutions using tarot, energy healing, and heart-centered creative guidance. Because the way you feel in your business shapes how you show up, how you make decisions, and how you grow. We help emerging business owners turn inner alignment into outward momentum, so your business can grow with more ease, clarity, and intention. Seekers, if you're ready to build your business in a way that actually feels supportive, book a free consultation with us at 3ofcupshealing.com. Your vision, your magic. Let's make it real. Together. That's 3ofcupshealing.com. And now, back to the episode. Dr. Burgos, welcome back to the show for part 2 of the science of the mother wound. I'm so happy to be back here with you. In part 1, you walked us through the mother wound, the 6-step journey overall, and the first 3 steps. We talked about intention, nervous system regulation, and labeling thoughts as love or fear. So for anyone just joining us for part 2, can you just give us a very quick recap of those first 3 steps?
The first one was setting your intention of highest love. Okay, let's say this together. My intention is for the pathway of highest love for myself, others, and the planet. I actually use that all day long. Anytime I'm not sure what to do next, I say that. And believe it or not, the answer comes to me instantly, and I know what that is.
I love that.
Okay. The second step was regulating the nervous system, taking a deep breath, noticing when we're not relaxed, and then associating when we're not relaxed with a survival mode. And the third step was labeling our thoughts as love or fear. And we're going to go into that so much deeper this time with the next step, and talk about what that means. It's about a feeling inside your body. What does your nervous system tell you about your own thoughts?
Okay. And you also told us to bring flashlights last time. So, because we gonna dive in deep to this wound, baby.
Bring your helmet, bring your
helmet,
bring your flashlights, bring your case of water, bring everything you need, because it's going to be a ride.
Right. So we're investigating today where our beliefs came from. We're checking them for truth, and we're stepping into wholeness. So where do you want to start, girl?
Okay. Get your pen and paper ready to write down what resonates with you for step 4. And by the way, here's a reminder that Tracy is a character I made up with extreme experiences to make the science clear. I don't want to get emails about hashtag save Tracy. Hashtag we forgot about, no, I made it up. Yes, a lot of people may resonate with all parts of Tracy. I made it that way so that all of us can get something out of it. And there might be someone who really, really resonates with Tracy, but that, everyone's journey is different. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Step 4 is deep self-inquiry.
So, for this step, you invite us to ask questions like, who did I learn this from? When did this start? Where was I? Why do I react this way? Why are these types of questions so powerful for healing the mother wound within us?
When we ask our brain these questions, it immediately begins an investigation. Sometimes it's hard to think back to our childhood, but don't worry. Your brain remembers where it left those memories, okay? Give it time. The answers to these questions reveal the narratives we developed as children. Our sense of self esteem and self image is greatly influenced by these self narratives. What does it mean about me if I say no to a plate of food? Okay, so remember, she can't say no when her mom offers her food because she feels that don't be rude, don't be ungrateful. All these memories come up. Okay, so now a year later, 22-year-old Tracy remembers this. And she felt defeated when the negative mental chatter began. She thought, this is all my fault. Maybe my mom's right and I am hungry and I just don't realize it. Maybe my mom does this. I mean, she does. She does this out of love, you know? Plus, I don't want to be rude. And she's also like stressed out today. I don't want to make her unhappy. So here we can see that both adult Tracy and baby Tracy have matching core beliefs about Tracy's self image, which are that she's a rude, ungrateful person. Her mom's emotions are her fault. She doesn't know how to make decisions for herself. She must earn her mom's love and approval. She defends her mom as doing this out of love. Can you see how the trauma bond formed in childhood continues into adulthood?
Absolutely. Yeah. When Tracy asks herself to notice what's happening in her body, when she wants to say no, but she can't, what does she actually discover?
She hadn't noticed this before, but she found that her heart beats a little faster, her neck muscles get tense, and there's knots in her stomach. So Tracy wasn't sure if this was an emotion. She couldn't figure out if she's hungry, full, angry, sad, anxious, hurt, scared. All she knows is that she hates this feeling in her body so much that she avoids it at all costs. So what we see here is a disconnect between Tracy's body and her emotions. Her brain used this technique to help her withstand extreme stress when she was baby Tracy. So it's a coping mechanism. Thank you, brain, for helping baby Tracy survive adverse childhood experiences. Unfortunately, since baby Tracy's brain was preoccupied with survival, her brain didn't have a chance to learn how to process her body's signals that well. Is she hungry? Is she sad? For adult Tracy, she deals with this by having an extremely strict diet, over-exercising, and being harsh on herself. For the next several months, she kept noticing every time she wanted to say no, but didn't. And guess what? It wasn't just food related. It was in relation to anything, like saying no to her boyfriend, wanting to see a different movie than her friends, but never saying it out loud, or saying yes to going to parties that she didn't even want to go to, but she's afraid of losing those friendships. She couldn't say no to extra projects at work, even though she was already overwhelmed. What we see here is the programming from her trauma bond, which taught her non-compliance equals loss of self-worth. In other words, adult Tracy's self-esteem depends on other people liking her.
Oh my God. Again, body wants to cry. That really resonated with me. Non-compliance equals loss of self-worth. Ah, I felt that in my chest.
Yeah, I'm feeling it with you.
So let's go a little deeper into this because this is so fascinating. What does 24-year-old Tracy notice when she asks herself, why do I say yes to situations that don't feel good? What does she notice there?
Okay, this is such an excellent question. Why do I say yes to situations that don't feel good? There's an actual scientific reason here. As her self-awareness begins to develop over time, she has these realizations. I say yes to almost everyone. I want to accommodate everyone, but like I want to be flexible, you know? I can adapt to people, even the most difficult personalities around me, like whether it's at work, my friends, my boyfriend. You know, I was actually so proud of that. Proud that I'd rather do what others prefer instead of what I prefer. I mean, I don't even know what I prefer. It's just easier to avoid triggering people, you know, like lie and smile and make people happy. Like somehow feel better about myself. Maybe I'm not sure. Um I can't actually like remember what like happiness feels like, but the weird thing that I'm struggling with is that I've slowly realized most of my beliefs are actually based in fear. You know, once I sat down to think about it, I have fear that I'll lose people and it's safer just keeping things the same instead of risking being alone and like starting over. Plus I'm not sure like how I would even want things to be different. I know some of my relationships are like bad for me, but like I just can't seem to leave. Okay, take a deep breath, y'all. I felt that one. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of that resonated.
And it's like society teaches us this though as
Yeah.
well. That like we're taught this and then it's reinforced over and over and over. Okay. So
Yeah.
here's what we see. As Tracy slowly gains awareness of her thoughts, most of them reflect fear of losing connection with people. Even if these people don't have her best interest. So notice her nervous system is still in survival mode, meaning her amygdala, which is the part of our brain that fights or protects us from something, it's dominant, okay? It's hypervigilant for signs of safety and danger. Because of that, this doesn't let the other part of her brain, her prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that can understand and make complex decisions with logic. So it can't function at maximum capacity when we're in survival mode. And plus, the reward system in her brain enabled a chemical addiction to abusive relationships. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Because they feel similar to her relationship with her mom. So she can't just leave. In her brain, it is physically difficult to leave and just change her life like one day to the next. It's not like cold turkey.
So let's talk about Tracy's 26-year-old self. Let's age her a little bit. How does her belief about herself affect the beliefs that she has of other people?
Okay, so let's say Tracy calls me here. She says, just the other day, her 10-year-old nephew came over for dinner and he didn't want to eat the chicken her mom served him on his plate. She called me crying. I feel so guilty about this, but my first thought was, wow, what a rude little kid. My mom went through all that trouble and he has no appreciation, no respect for her, and he made her upset on top of it. But these are the same thoughts I have about myself. All right, so here's what we see. Tracy's brain understands the complexity of keeping her mom happy, but her young nephew does not. Baby Tracy's brain learned to be extra observant of her mom's facial expressions, posture, the way she speaks, constantly looking for signs of danger. This survival skill helped her navigate the world. So when her nephew rejected the plate of food, causing this whole chain reaction, Tracy immediately blamed him and minimized the severity of his experience. She has difficulty acknowledging the full severity of her nephew's experience because it would challenge her own denial of her history of abuse. If abuse exists for him, then it must exist for her too. But that means her perception of how the world works might be abnormal. And that's when she stopped going to therapy, y'all. You don't want to learn more when you think your worldview has been, you don't want it to be challenged.
Because then it becomes like an identity shift. Then it's like, who actually am I? You know, when I start to see things in my life that I'm like, the way I'm functioning is abnormal. So what is actually the real true me? Like, who am I really underneath all of this stuff? And that identity shift can be very, very challenging to sort of work through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a normal part of the process. Absolutely normal. In fact, if you got to this point, congratulations. We're supposed to. Like I said, I've done this over and over and over and over. And eventually you get to the point where you're just like, I'm just going to do what my heart feels. I stopped defining myself. Like, why am I going to keep trying to recreate and recreate when I keep getting it wrong? Because I'm recreating from fear.
Instead of love.
Yeah. Yeah. And like when we recreate from fear, that means whatever we decide to like pick, it's going to evolve and change anyway.
Right.
It's not permanent. It's not like universal truth that stays the same forever, because our identity is something that we decide what it is, and it keeps adjusting according to where we are in life. And we're going to get into that much deeper later on. But for now, we don't like this feeling, so we're going to stop going to therapy. Okay?
Oh, I can so relate. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And also one more like side note. Notice how her nephew's parents raised him to feel confident making decisions for his own body.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Let's get into this like juiciness of opening that door. Ugh. For those of us who are terrified to look back and we think, Lord Jesus, if I open that door, I will fall apart. I mean, I joke because I feel like I'm joking because I feel like it feels real to me. You know, like if I open the door, I will fall apart. Like that does feel like somewhat terrifying to me. So, what would you say about doing this step in like small, manageable pieces rather than like seeing it as like this big, scary thing that we have to do?
Okay. I would say, whoa, don't open that door.
Girl.
Don't go to the door. Follow the light. Don't go to the door.
Okay.
Okay. So moving forward with self-love includes respecting where your nervous system is at. Meaning, do what it takes to keep your nervous system feeling safe and stable.
Mm.
If any part of your journey feels unsafe, unstable, that's a sign that you are in survival mode, okay? So don't go to that next step then.
Gotcha.
Stop where you're at. You can give your nervous system some love by painting, dancing, exercising, go for a walk, try a new hobby, doing things that bring joy, peace, things that feel good. Go back to the crying baby. Pick it up. What do? We pick up a crying baby and we say, "Oh, honey," and we tap their back. Maybe we sing a song. Maybe we're like, "I understand," blah 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 blah, and you want to comfort and peekaboo, peekaboo, like not because what they're feeling is not okay, but because like I'm here with you and I'm gonna hold you while you go through your feelings, my baby, and then we're gonna focus on doing things that make us feel good.
Yeah.
We're teaching the baby like, okay, after we get into this, deep place, then we take a walk over to the bright side of where we have control.
Yeah.
Okay. So if possible, you can get a therapist. And this is the exact process they are experts at, and they would never push you over the edge. And remember, this is a self-love journey. There is no rush to heal or problem solve. Just deciding to try new healthy ways to feel better every now and again is good enough. And it might be the path of highest love for you right now. And maybe next week, the path of highest love will evolve into something else.
I love that. Be flexible with it. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, one thing I notice is society is all about like being the best at everything.
Yeah.
Right? And like, so we keep this little checklist of like, I did not heal today.
I completely resonate with that. Yeah.
I should have been at step 4 by now. Honey, this took me such a long time. I started my early 20s and I'm like mid 30s and I barely figured out what forgiveness is like yesterday. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But my self-love journey is how I'm getting there. Like
Yeah.
I don't walk around with guilt. Like all of these things are shedding and they're coming off of me through the years. It's a very beautiful, graceful, slow journey that goes according to where you're at in life. Okay.
Yeah. And to like give yourself compassion, because I'm also thinking about like how Tracy, felt when she was hard on her nephew for not eating the chicken or what the thoughts that she had. And it's like, we're humans, we make mistakes, and that's just a part of it. It's like ruptures are going to happen in our human experience. Even if that guilt does come up, how can we give ourselves self-compassion and love in the moment of feeling all of the emotions that come up when we quote unquote have made a mistake, or thoughts that we thought were wrong or whatever it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. To answer that, instead of keeping a checklist of all the things we messed up on, how about when you notice something hurts and you have remorse, take it as, oh, I think I just learned of a new place within myself where I need more love. And then just leave it there. And now that becomes its own little baby journey. It doesn't become a list, like a growing list of ways to hate myself.
Oh, Lord, do I need to hear that? Oh my God. Maybe I could throw my list away?
Yeah, yeah. We're going to go over this later, but that list that we all mentally have of all the things I've done or done to me, like there's a reason why our brain keeps track. And we'll go into the science later, but it's to help you return to love. Okay? I'll just say that for now. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Tracy had a couple of birthdays. She's 28 years old now. Okay. So, can you walk us through Tracy's journey at 28 years old of steps 1 through 4?
She's evolving and so do her steps, and the way we perceive our steps evolve with us over time. Okay, so let's say after a year or two of practicing making sense of step 1 through 4, Tracy had developed little routines that she made for herself. Okay, so she wrote the 6 steps on her bathroom mirror with a marker, and every day while brushing her teeth she would recite, my intention is for the pathway of highest love for myself, others, and the planet. And she would say this intention to herself anytime she needed courage, like before making big decisions. Okay. The other thing she does, she learned to recognize signs of stress in her body and responded by taking deep breaths of her favorite essential oils. Okay. Which now she keeps in her purse. Okay. So this is like, hey, she's adapting these rules to fit her. They're her rules. Okay. These strategies. The other thing she did, she discovered that clay sculpting helps her feel calm and focused. And this is now part of her weekly routine. Just something that makes you feel good, right? The way I feel when I sculpt, that's what you want to aim for, whatever feels good for you. The other thing she did, Tracy continued labeling her thoughts as love or fear and realized she could put some effort into thinking nicer thoughts about herself. She said, I started apologizing to myself every time I called myself names. And later, I started giving myself a little credit, here and there for things I do well. Society wants us to just make a list of all, I want to say to make a list of all your sins. That's what's coming to me. Just make a list, girl, and just put them on your wall and like worship that. She continued labeling her thoughts as love or fear, and she realized that she could put some effort into thinking nicer thoughts about herself. She said, I started apologizing to myself every time I called myself names. Later, I started giving myself a little credit here and there for the things I do well. Why does that resonate, dude? Because we do keep a list of all of the things that we do wrong, and then we like criticize, and that's where the name calling comes from. Like, you're so stupid. You do this every time. We get more into this later on as well. Today, when she catches a fear-based thought, she'll flip it around into a love-based thought. So that's one of the most helpful habits she's built up. That's when the truth began to reveal itself to her. Another thing she did, something new happened. The last time her boyfriend got angry, she thought, okay, if I break up with him, I won't find another companion. And then she caught herself and she flipped that thought around. Wait a minute. If I break up with him, he'll get out of the way so I can get a nicer person as a companion.
Boom. That's right. That's right.
And breaking up with him was one of the most difficult things she had ever done. And there was an internal struggle, okay? But ultimately, she just wanted the pathway of highest love for herself and for him. And it was clear that they weren't good for each other.
So clay sculpting allows for safe destruction and recreation, which mirrors life's changes, right? So how did 30-year-old Tracy use this principle in her own life?
Excellent question. Over time, she wasn't afraid of discovering a new mother wound because she had a plan to process it if she wanted to. Her New Year's resolution was peace. She loved how peace just feels when she's sculpting with clay, and she wanted that feeling to stay forever. So a year ago, a commitment to peace would have been too radical for her. It would have been boring. It wouldn't feel exciting without the ups and downs of daily drama. But now she's ready for it. So 35-year-old Tracy, after another year or two of practicing truth, love, balance, was deep into her self-love journey, right? And she titled her next journal entry, I am not a victim of the world I see. I have invented the world I see. I forgive myself. It was clearly time for a new entry in her journal, right? So she's titled the new entry, Program My Nervous System for Me. Okay. And here's a list of bullet points. My childhood nervous system was programmed to fear saying no, to fear being disobedient. Based on these experiences, my childhood self formed the belief that I am only worthy of love when I ignore my needs and prioritize the emotional needs of my parents. My childhood self believed that she was only worthy of love when she complied with blind obedience. As an adult, I now understand that my adult nervous system is programmed according to the perspective of a 4-year-old child. I now understand that honoring my needs includes saying no. I now understand that I am worthy of love at all times, even when I disagree with others. I now understand that I am worthy of making decisions for myself at all times. I now understand that blind obedience is not loving to the person receiving my blind obedience, and certainly not to myself. I now understand that my parents' nervous system programmed my nervous system as a child. I now understand my parents' nervous system was programmed in their childhood from their parents. I now understand that this pattern of multi-generational nervous systems that are programmed for fear ends with me. I now understand that I can program my own nervous system to reflect my values of love, of truth, of balance for myself and others. I had always believed that the world was a painful place. I mean, I was regularly hurt by others who imposed their needs onto me and made me forget my needs. Somewhere in the last 3 years, I just stopped believing in that world. I needed to believe that something better must exist. I discovered what it means to program my nervous system to follow new rules. These are my new rules. My internal world honors love, peace, and harmony. My external world honors love, peace, and harmony. From now on, Love, peace, and harmony are my guiding light and the highest priority in my decisions. As she said this, Tracy realized she's no longer a victim of the world that was made for baby Tracy and unknowingly upheld into her adulthood. I forgive myself for creating conditions of suffering in my adult life. I'm not sure if I could ever forgive my parents for creating the conditions of my suffering as a child, but I at least understand them better. They're a reflection of how their parents raised them. And I forgive myself for all the anger I held against my parents who unknowingly programmed me for a life of fear. And that's the moment Tracy's life changed forever. She took her power back with love for herself and others. And she continued her journal entry with this new title, Take My Power Back. I choose to take a deep breath when I feel pressure to neglect my needs. I choose to gain the courage to value my needs equally to those of others. I choose to pause before making decisions about my needs. I choose to give myself time in my schedule to focus on discovering what I need. And I choose to love myself and say no when the answer is no. And I choose to love myself and say yes when the answer is in fact yes. And as Tracy began to embody her personal power, she began to recognize a little self-confidence and a little self-esteem naturally coming in.
That was beautiful. Really resonated with a lot of that. So for those of us who feel like if I stop labeling, I will lose my boundaries and my standards, how do you help us see the difference between labels that harm and clarity that actually helps us?
So I would first address that this is a fear-based thought, okay? Look at the language here. Boundaries imply there is an imperative need to defend, to protect. It implies lack of safety. That's how these thoughts start. But as we go along in our journey, okay, when you are developing, your healing and then your sense of wholeness, then there's this inherent like self-confidence and a strong identity based on internal validation that's, it's coming up now. And so at this higher level of understanding, you become aware that no one can harm or tamper your wholeness, your worthiness, your confidence, your safety, your self-perspective. This part of you becomes untouchable. The language you use throughout your healing journey evolves to reflect that. The thought process goes from lose my boundaries and my standards, and it evolves to out of love and respect for myself, I can only give this amount. And out of love and respect for you, I understand you can only give this other amount. Do you feel the difference there? Like the energy? Right. So whatever other people around her thought, or however much fear-based love they could give, no longer had anything to do with her. Her nervous system was her responsibility, and their nervous system was a reflection of them, not her.
Step 6 is about asking what is the path of highest love for my mom and me? And am I willing to see myself as whole? So what does wholeness actually mean in your framework here?
Okay, let's examine Tracy's story. So now let's say 37-year-old Tracy, she starts to plan for her needs in advance. So the next time she planned a visit to her mom, she called her mom, "Hey mom, I'm hoping to get to your house in time for dinner. What works for you? Should we go out for dinner? Maybe we can cook together." Tracy made it a point to learn about her mom. So now there's a different energy she's coming with, right? She wants to learn, but like without judgment, without like, or the hurt, because she's like, okay, I dealt with my stuff. Now I just want to see who she is, okay? So she learned, how did my mom learn to cook food? Well, ask her. If she's available, if it's something she's willing to share, you can ask. What were her childhood meals like, you know? Were they traumatizing too? What was her childhood like? Tracy wanted to get to know her mom in a new way if her mom was okay with it over time. So Tracy's mom did get to know the new adult that Tracy was becoming, and her mom did not like it at all. Okay. At first, there were moments when Tracy felt defensive, but she knew it was just her old, outdated nervous system. After taking some deep breaths, she just needed to install the new updates, honey, about her commitment to love, peace, and harmony. Okay. Let's say a few years pass. 39-year-old Tracy's mom still holds grudges, criticizes, won't visit her, still attempts to manipulate Tracy, but Tracy sees it a mile away and verbalizes her personal limits, sometimes kindly, sometimes defensively. Tracy doesn't stick around to find out if discussions with her mom become circular with no forward progress. These new parameters Tracy has created in her relationship with her mom have led to more peace for both of them. So let's say some time passes. 40-year-old Tracy writes a new journal entry. Okay, we started at 21.
Right,
We're 40 now.
I was like, we're grown now. 20 years.
Grandma Tracy. Okay, and that's just my way of letting us know that this isn't happening overnight. So let's see. 40-year-old Tracy writes a new journal entry. I'm beginning to see my mom's nervous system instead of my old beliefs of her. It became clear that she runs on a fear-based thought process, like at all times. I know what that's like. It's a tough life. At the same time, I'm okay with being true to myself in all conversations and situations. I just realized that I'm modeling to her what peace, harmony, and love is like in practice. I don't need to change my mom or anything about her, but rather, I will remain loyal to honoring my commitment to the path of highest love for myself and others, whatever that means at any given time. I'm not in a posture of defense or offense or boundary or position of anger or defeat or righteousness. I just love me, and I just love my mom. And I'm glad my mom and I can at least have some basic conversations in peace. So long story short, she's a grandmother. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Let's just say over the next year, okay? Let's give it some time. 41-year-old Tracy's life was significantly different. She kept company and relationships that honored her commitment to peace and love and harmony for herself and others. She enjoys being single and finding creative ways to express herself. She has her dream job. She lost relationships along the way, but the few that remained have become so much better, and they became calm and open, places for safe vulnerability for others and herself. She gained more friends with authentic intentions for their lives. There was so much more depth and purpose around her. And people start asking her for advice. People saw how great she was handling life with gusto and grace and kindness. People began to want what she had. In fact, she referred them to this podcast. Just putting that in there.
So good. Oh my God. So, Dr. Burgos, we talk about how this journey is about discovering self-love that heals our image of brokenness. And I feel it in my soul. I feel it in my bones. How do we start to detach our identity from the trauma we experienced?
Start with this. My intention is for the pathway of highest love for myself and others. Okay. This takes you on a radical journey that leans into your past life of pain. Imagine all your heart's pain is painted in great detail upon the walls of a dark cave. And as you bravely walk forward with your flashlight, these images come to life. Okay. So it's like you're watching them happen all over again, and you momentarily feel the pain all over again. At first, your emotions are so distracting in your body that you almost drop the flashlight and get the heck out of there. But something tells you, just keep looking up. The image of your pain seems to have absorbed the light you're shining on it. The image comes off the wall and floats away, following the light at the mouth of the cave. Even darkness has a pathway to light. And as you move from one image to the next, you see the real truth that you have been worthy of unconditional love this entire time. You've always been whole and complete, and your wholeness cannot be tampered with. It is sovereign. This is the key to your freedom.
Yeah.
So I personally believe that this is the part of us that is made in God's image, because it was your perception of brokenness and shame and guilt, unworthiness that held these memories hostage from moving forward into healing. And instead, we're hoarding our pain. We have a strong emotional attachment to them, as if we need to save them. But they just bring more pain until we finally see the significant distress they cause in daily life. So they couldn't move forward because you didn't believe that these memories deserved healing. So you ignore them, suppressing them every time they showed up in life. Painful memories have a practical purpose. They are an invitation to look upon yourself with forgiveness for keeping yourself in misery. Feel remorse, but do not turn it into identity. Remember that list? Remember I said like the list of sins that we keep track of? That's not who you are. But we do that, and then we ruminate on them. And that becomes our whole life, just going in circles, repeating all these, our mantra. It becomes our mantra.
Absolutely.
Okay. Shine light on them, feel them, and let them go. That's what I'm asking us to do.
Oh, yeah.
Deep breath, right?
That feels very, very hard to do sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like, you might get to do that with one memory, and then it's like, oh, I need to take a break like for 3 months. I do the next one.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay. So feel the remorse, but do not turn it into identity. Release the past with compassion. Act differently now. So really, there's nothing to detach from. Liberation is not achieved by denying, punishing, or endlessly analyzing wrongdoing. It comes through full acknowledgement, followed by complete forgiveness. And forgiveness is its own big thing. That's a whole other episode, okay? So I'm not going to go into that. But there's forgiveness, and there's different levels and stages of forgiveness, okay? So here's a list of things to notice: that healing is a matter of accepting all of you, including the part of you that thinks you don't deserve love or healing. Accepting the part of you that is comfortable being miserable. Accepting the part of you that believed your true identity comes from what the world thinks of you. Accepting the part of you that was whole and complete this whole time. Accepting the part of you that wants to hold on to shame and guilt. Accepting the part of you that wants others to be hurt with you. Accepting the part of you that wants others to see you as hurt. Accepting the part of you that is afraid to break out of old patterns. Accepting that all the bad things we've done were calls for love. So this does not give permission to harm. It's a recognition that hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
At first, this is difficult because the world wants us to hate ourselves. But hatred cannot be healed by more hatred. Hatred is healed by love. Isn't this unconditional love?
Yeah. The acceptance of all things.
It starts within us. It like there's no external
Yeah.
world about this. This is all internal.
And it's interesting because we always think about unconditional love, or at least I can say, and I know there's a lot of people that resonate with this, and it's probably comes from religion too. It's like we think about unconditional love for other people and flipping that around to me like, no, wait, I have to have unconditional love for myself with all of my flaws and all of the things that, I was taught, and all the ways that I hurt and break and feel broken. I have to have unconditional love for that part of me too.
As you start your self-love journey into unconditional love, and you're shedding, all the skins of anger and hate and the judgment and labels that we put on ourselves, what the world thinks, all of this, life exponentially gets better with every one layer you take off. So it's not like, oh, I'm not going to feel good till like 10 years from now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not at all. Not at all. Feeling better takes it takes one neuron to like shift in your brain. And then you're like, oh, snaps. Like, I am cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just one thought that you just have to believe one small thing.
Yeah.
And then your life literally feels better. And so this whole journey, yes, it can take a long time and there's different levels of it, but it's exponentially getting better with every small change you make.
I love that. That's a good perspective. So you are very clear that nothing excuses abusive behavior. So for those of us who have experienced severe abuse in childhood, especially from our mothers, what does healing look like?
So the good news is that you can heal from abuse. The more complex thing about it is that everybody's journey is different. However, there is a miracle here that I want to highlight. The miracle is that our brain is made in such a way that it knows how to help us heal. I can't promise that today's discussion will heal anyone, but I can promise a little bit of a better understanding of how different things could help you in your healing journey.
So what do we do when we're stuck in an environment that's abusive?
We want to be realistic, right? Although no one has a direct answer to this, there are different things we can try to help our self-esteem. Part of the reason that the topic of abuse is so complex is because big things like control and manipulation are ways people exert power over other people's decisions. So in other words, when people are trying to tell you as an adult what to do, what to think, or even stepping over your boundaries, especially as children, it's very hard to deal with that. The one way that we could start trying to make sense of the absurdity that's happening around us is to let yourself know that you're not crazy. And in fact, what you might be experiencing is not normal. If we allow ourselves for a moment to understand that we are not crazy and that what's happening to me is out of my control and not normal, then that might give us a little bit of hope for imagining a different future. For example, if you know you dislike living this way, you can ask yourself, what is the opposite? Maybe this can help us understand a pathway for hope.
And just out of curiosity too, like, are there resources that people can use when they're in an abusive household, when they are, being abused by their parent? Like if somebody's listening to this right now and they're like, I need help, like what do they do?
You can Google or internet search safe exit planning. I used this a lot when I was helping people who were when I was doing rape crisis intervention and domestic abuse. So when you're in that kind of situation, you can't just leave. A lot of times you're very entangled with the other person, like you're codependent. Okay. So and sometimes,
especially if it's your mother.
absolutely, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes your life could be on the line depending on what your situation is, right? Because your life is often used against you, like it's threatened. So when you look up safe exit planning, it's like you create a long-term plan to create a better situation for yourself. So that means for the person who's the dominant influence that we're talking about in your life, their patterns are pretty predictable. And only you, the person who witnesses how their patterns work, like only you know, like, okay, when I do this, I know for sure this is going to happen. And when I say it this way, I know this is how it's always going to go. So you create a very long-term plan, taking everything into consideration. It's kind of like you predict everything they may say or do, and you have a plan for that in place already in advance, months in advance, so that when it's time to carry out your plan, it has been absolutely carefully crafted. It's like one of the safest ways for you to leave, but also it just requires time. You have to like sit and think about it for a long time. So there are websites that talk about this, and the most popular type would be like I said, for like domestic violence situations, and you just look up safe exit planning. A certain website that I can name right now is called stmarthas.org. stmarthas.org with an S at the end, marthas.org. Safe exit planning.
So let's talk about resistance and obstacles. You talk about resistance as a normal part of the process, and you even say that you get a little excited when you feel resistance. So why do you see resistance as a guiding light rather than a sign that you're failing?
So resistance happens the moment you believe that positive change is not meant for you. It's a reflection of an old survival strategy to stick with what you already know because it's predictable. The thing is, it's predictable suffering that you're trying to get away from. So it's a circular trap. Okay. You want something good, but you reject all the pathways that take you there. And then you stay miserable. And then you get excited about wanting something good again. And then it just repeats itself with no forward progress. It's important to listen to that resistance and ask yourself questions to figure out where it's coming from. Once you figure out where your initial resistance is rooted, that's the moment you thank your nervous system for showing you an old painful memory that needs to be rewritten from a new perspective of love. Resistance can be a powerful tool for growth. What I'm telling you is to trust your body. Side note, many books talk about the ego as the source of resistance, right? Same thing. Thank your ego for showing you where you needed more love. Resistance or ego serve the higher purpose of helping you return to love.
So what are some of the most common obstacles that you see for people that are starting this healing journey?
The most common obstacle I see is not being able to identify your obstacles. You see? So the very first step is self-awareness.
Yeah.
And that's a form of curiosity. Unfortunately, we sometimes wait to get curious until after a crisis happens. But we do know that building curiosity releases dopamine in the reward pathway. So it's like discovering new information is chemically exciting for you. And we know that natural curiosity can happen when there's a discrepancy between what we think we know versus what is actually true. There's a gap there. I mean, people call it a knowledge gap. Okay, so maybe try this mantra. I am still learning to love myself. And maybe your brain will get curious enough to explore what that means to you.
You also talk about the fact that the extent of healing is a matter of decision. So how can we aim for a gentle, realistic healing journey instead of putting our healing on a deadline and feeling the pressure to heal fast? Because I feel that all the time. Like if I don't heal quickly, then I'm never going to be able to live the life that I want to live.
When you start with an intention for the pathway of highest love, you learn to listen to your nervous system, and you will do what it takes to keep it in a relaxed state. So when some part of your healing journey may take you out of a calm, focused state of mind, you can stop the process and wait for a better time when your nervous system is available to process healing again.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how it's gentle, because it's like you are your own brakes and you also are the gas pedal. You just got to listen to you. And a lot of times, like, we ignore that everything sucks inside of our body, but we just push through, push. And then we're like, I'm going to heal now. And then you discover something totally messed up about your life. And then you're like miserable for weeks because you can't pick yourself back up. Okay, so don't go there. Let's not go there anymore. And make it gentle. Like, okay, you know what? I'm going to see my friends this weekend. And then, the week after that, I have a couple of days off from work. And then maybe after that. Because I need to just rejuvenate me. Like, my nervous system just needs to come back to just like as close to neutral, as close to like doable as I can before you go into a little bit of a pain journey. It's about do it as you go.
Yeah.
Do it as you go. Kind of like, when my house is a crazy mess and I still have a baby and I still have a bunch of other things, I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to do it as I go. If I walk by something, maybe I'll pick it up. I'll put it, I'll deal with it. And like, but not everything, because I'm doing it as I go.
Right.
I'm still going. Life still happens. We still have crises. We still have life phases. We still have love and like, our careers. Everything is still going to happen. For most of us, we can't just go sit in a cave and like do this all in like a year. And also it would be really intense.
It would be. Yeah.
But doing this gracefully is like, just as you go. Just do it as you go.
Okay, Seekers, I think this is a really great place to take a break. We'll be right back with the episode. Here's a perspective shift. Your business doesn't need more pushing. It needs alignment. At 3 of Cups Healing, we offer intuitive marketing solutions using tarot, energy healing, and heart-centered creative guidance. We help emerging business owners turn clarity into momentum and vision into action. So, Seekers, if you're ready to grow your business with more intention and ease, book a free consultation with us at 3ofcupshealing.com. Your vision, your magic. Let's make it real. Together. That's 3ofcupshealing.com. And now, back to the episode.
You describe what a wound looks like in practice, what healing looks like, and what wholeness looks like. Can you paint those 3 pictures for us in terms of daily life?
Oh, yes. Okay. So we kind of did see it in Tracy, right? We went on this like 44-year journey.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't have to be 44 years. There's stages. Okay. That's what I wanted us to see. Oh, yeah. And there's no judgment for whatever stage we're in.
Okay.
It's more like, that's just what it feels like. And then maybe next week it might be different. Okay. So what does a wound look like in practice? So a wound, when you're living there, comes in all shapes and sizes, but a fresh wound might feel shocking. It might turn your world upside down. There may be a component of grief and maybe even confusion, and you might even question your worthiness or think that you deserve suffering and pain. The nervous system might not be able to accept new viewpoints due to a very dominant amygdala. That's the part of the brain about, that controls fear and anger. Because it's telling you to fight. It's telling you to defend, protect, and hide. So that's what being in the wound is like. And by the way, you can have wounds where they're all in different phases. Some of your wounds are already whole and complete. Some of them you're in the healing process, and other ones you're like right in the middle of the cut. It's not like your whole life suddenly shifts from one to the next. It's just different parts of you are all over the place, and you just do it as you go. Okay.
Okay.
So what does the healing look like in practice? So healing comes when you've made a decision to learn something new, which signals to our brain that it's time to evolve to the next step. In daily life, it looks like waves of emotion that come and go. You take moments to stop and feel them or decide to focus on whatever is arising within. It looks like good days and bad days and neutral days all mixed together. In fact, things can actually temporarily get worse. And sometimes we exchange old unhelpful beliefs for new, also unhelpful beliefs.
Yeah.
Okay. You get curious about why you do the things you do. You start to notice your thought life, meaning you start to realize that old beliefs are not serving the highest good of yourself anymore. Okay. We may be judgmental towards ourselves for having certain thoughts or behaviors, for not being as healed as other people. Right? This is us keeping score. And remember that little list that we keep in the back of our minds, like, I should be where Sandy is. I'm not. How come we talked about this at the same time, but she's a whole lot further than I am? We're judging ourselves, right? So when you're healing, you're learning. You're learning. As I tell my 2-year-old to tell me, I'm like, tell mommy, I'm still learning, mommy. Okay, we're still learning, and everyone's at a different place for different wounds. So we may use labels and rules to help us feel stable on this new, scary, and often confusing journey. And rules and labels, those come from all the dichotomies of the world, like good, bad, new, old, smart, dumb, beautiful, ugly, worthy, unworthy, comfortable, uncomfortable. So simply observing your thoughts and behaviors is enough to help the brain move from fearful, unstable rigidity to experiencing comfort and flexibility, to eventually building, a little healthy routine for processing these emotions and thoughts as they come. And this eventually turns into new instincts that are now based in safety, stability, love, and peace. Okay. And so now what does wholeness look like? This is further along, and maybe some of your wounds you feel this way already. And others maybe deeper wounds, like not yet. We're all in different places. And so by the time you're in wholeness, like I'm whole and complete, like you believe that. It's not just like a sentence that you read and it's like on the surface. Like, no, you know that from the inside of your body. You know this, okay?
You feel it in your bones.
It's a daily commitment to correcting your fear-based image of yourself until that image slowly disappears. Because you have slowly and graciously infused your thoughts, actions, behaviors with intentional, non-judgment, unconditional love for yourself. See, this is where your thoughts are now at this point. You begin to like who you are without judging what other people would call imperfections. The label of imperfection itself is a fear-based concept because it assumes there is such thing as perfection and imperfection. That's good and bad, versus accepting what is and forward thinking. Because we are human, always facing new challenges with every new phase of life, we can skillfully face our emotions and thoughts with accurate thinking and quickly let things go as soon as their purpose is fulfilled, instead of hoarding false beliefs about ourselves. There's nothing to hold on to. You become the lead designer of your life that is consistent with love and peace and creativity and ambitions, and like you love learning new things and doing whatever continues the fulfillment of your potential.
And I just want to clarify something too. Just because you're in that wholeness, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to make mistakes ever again, right?
Absolutely.
Because I feel like there's this thing, well, I'm whole and complete, and it's like, I will never fuck up again. It's like, no, we will. And that's okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you're in a place of wholeness and like you do the thing that you're like, dang it.
Yeah.
The response you feel is, all right, I'll process that on Saturday. I'll do that. And if, I'll do it when I'm washing the dishes tonight, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
And then it becomes an invitation to learn more about yourself. And it becomes an invitation to shed some light. You don't have to go deep dive into something every time it comes up. Because again, we don't live in a cave.
Yeah.
And so when I mess up, let's say I want to control somebody else's decision for them. Like I want my husband to do this, but I don't know anything about his schedule. I never asked for permission. I don't know where he's at. Like I just, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make him do this. Right. That's me. That is me not being loyal to his sovereignty.
Yeah.
Okay. But when I'm in a place of wholeness, and I catch myself do that, I self-correct quick, like course correct, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, and I can tell him, oh, I'm sorry. I just caught myself there. And like the cool thing, we got to do one on like relationships one day, because when you and your partner speak the same language, like everything resolves itself. Like we just watch each other and we're like, hold on, just give it 2 seconds. Okay, there she goes. She caught herself. All right, cool. We're good, right? Okay. And you keep going.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And that's sort of that brings me to like the next part is like you use this phrase embrace the suck instead of being consumed by it. So how does that attitude show up when someone is further along in their self-love journey?
Okay. When you're further along in your self-love journey, or maybe even now for you, okay, in spirit, experiencing new wounds or uncovering old wounds is still a thing. It's part of the human experience. However, you're able to process things, I think, a little faster with some accuracy and resiliency. And one of my favorite ideas is that you simply learn to embrace the suck versus letting it consume you. You are able to face what comes with agility and maneuver your old perspective with a sense of confident resiliency. Like, that's my old. Like sometimes I will stop myself mid thought and be like, stop. That's the old me. There's a path. There's a better pathway for this. And I just tell my brain, no, no, no. Didn't I just program you last week? Like, what did we say? Oh, focus on the pathway of higher love. Ah, okay. And then I just like reset myself.
In your point of view, what are some signs that someone is moving from fear-based rigidity into more flexible, love-based instincts in their day-to-day life?
Pausing before reacting in a way that is hurtful to yourself and deciding on a thoughtful response instead. That's a sign of growing self-awareness, and it's a sign of self-love. And we become motivated to find better ways to solve problems.
You make a really important point about parenting from wholeness. How does that differ from the idea of being the parent you never had, which you actually describe as fear-based?
The parent is able to process their own childhood grief without imposing it on their children. And I often hear people say that, they want to be the parent they didn't have. But this thought process is fear-based. It prepares your nervous system to fight for your kids. And it completely ignores the unique needs of each child. And what you needed as a child 30, 40 years ago is not the same as what your children need today.
So what does it look like when a parent truly sees their child as self-realized human being and lets that belief shape the child's self-image?
Instead, the parent learns to truly see children as self-realized human beings. Okay. This whole journey today was to get us to see that about ourselves, that I'm self-realized, that I am whole and complete already. My brain and body know what to do. I just have to like activate it and like dance with it, be synchronized with it. But kids they already do that. Their developing brains are wired to learn life lessons. They are wired to learn new ways of thinking that are helpful to them in the long run. Like they are constantly course correcting naturally all the time. It's us who like stop that from becoming like a lifelong way of functioning. We don't trust our instincts at a certain point. But they do. So seeing children as they are without our judgment put upon them will give them a starting point for developing their internal compass. It's kind of like the story of let them trust their body. That's them developing their internal compass.
I see. Yeah.
Instead of us restricting, we can just guide and just trust that they'll figure it out. Okay. And this applies to even a baby who's learning to walk. Will you hover over the baby to protect them, right? Protect. That's like survival mode from the parent. Or would you prepare an environment that allows safe exploration of their bodies and of objects nearby so you can relax and they can just do baby things. And this reflects the fear-based and love-based view of a child. Fear being that they are not capable of reaching developmental milestones without you, right? Versus confidence that their brain is taking note of everything and learns to refine it future decisions. The key here is that this parental belief becomes adopted by the child as their own belief system about themselves. Our seeing them as whole and complete helps their self views and the worldviews to form with accurate thinking. And furthermore, this becomes the foundation for their future adult personality.
How does an individual journey of self-love become the medicine that heals multi-generational wounds, or what people call generational curses, which is what I call it too?
The journey of self-love in itself is the solution to healing multi-generational wounds, or as you know, generational curses, right? In daily life, it looks like moments throughout the day where you just stop and just breathe while you let strong ancient feelings and thoughts pass through you. And your decision to observe them instead of acting on them is the healing taking place.
Got it. Okay. I like that a lot. Yeah. Let's talk about conditional love versus unconditional love, because you define it in a very specific way. Can you share that distinction and how it relates to the mother wound?
Conditional love requires others to fit your fear-based image of them. Unconditional love requires you to forget everything you know about someone and just love them. It has no labels, no requirements, no expectations, no comparisons to what your ideal version of something is. And I've noticed that people can tell when you see them as they truly are, which is what is left when we remove all the labels and expectations.
Now, you also talk about how we influence each other's nervous systems, which I always find so fascinating because it just reminds me of how connected we are to each other. So, how do our bodies and brains co-regulate in families, especially in mother-child dynamics?
A couple things come to mind right away. One of them is mirror neurons. So my favorite example is this. Me as the parent, when I start brushing my teeth in front of my 2-year-old, the neurons that it's taking for me to physically brush my teeth also light up in his brain. Even though he's not doing it, he's just watching. That's how I influence him. So if I'm angry at the moment that something happens, or really happy at the moment that something happens, those same neurons light up in his brain, even though he's not feeling that emotion yet. But the next time the thing happens, he's going to feel the emotions that I modeled. Okay.
Yeah.
And and the other one is co-regulation or lack thereof. And when I say regulation, what I'm saying is getting our nervous system back to a place of calm focus.
Okay.
Right. So just like how we pick up a crying baby, and if we're crying,
Yeah.
when we pick up a crying baby, the baby's going to keep crying. Because I'm telling the baby with my actions, okay, this is the part where we cry.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. And if I'm not crying, then I pick up the baby and it's about, okay, you're crying and I'm gonna hold you until your part of crying is done, because I'm modeling where stability is. And like, to help you get back to stability, you're just gonna follow your heart and then come back to stable.
I see.
So I'm not rushing them. Like, one thing a lot of parents do is like, oh, don't be angry.
Yeah.
Oh, you should smile more.
Yeah.
But no, but I'm angry.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm angry though.
Yeah.
So like what we could do is, and this is not just children, other adults, our friends, our families, ourselves, let people be where they are, and you just model what stability is.
Yeah.
And then they will come to match you.
Dr. Burgos, for those of us listening who are thinking things like, why could my mom never make me a priority, or why can't she admit painful things happen to me? How do those very human questions connect to what the mother wound is?
Okay. Why could my mom never make me a priority? So I would ask if you can recall the earliest memory that you felt this way, or learned that this is how your world works. Then I would implement, the 6 steps to figure out how this experience as a child has affected your self-view and the view of your mother. And after reframing what this means to you, like, this takes time, okay?
Yeah.
Then I would ask one to wonder what their mom's nervous system was like at that time when you were 4. Was it fear-based? What was the underlying fear?
Yeah.
And from this, can one develop compassion and understanding, even though it does not excuse neglectful behavior, but maybe the person asking this question can have a sense of inner peace, knowing that the reason the parent did these things had nothing to do with the child at all. And in fact, it had to do with their own childhood programming.
Let's talk about having the conversation with our mother. So we've done a lot of talking about like the work that we're doing ourselves on our own. But for those of us who want to have these hard conversations with our mother or our caregiver or even our adult child, what are some tips for a healthy discussion where both people's nervous systems can stay as regulated as possible?
Okay. So definitely start implementing this, and practicing these six steps.
Yeah.
You'll notice some old walls of protection very slowly starting to come down. For example, your nervous system begins to feel stable, safe, and relaxed more often during activities that used to trigger big emotions,
Okay.
like having these conversations with your adult children or your mom.
Yeah.
And a great way to start like refining this process is with setting the intention.
Yeah.
My goal for this discussion, mom, child, is to figure out the pathway of highest love for both you and me. So it's a quick way to tell the nervous system that it is safe and therefore open to creative problem solving and hearing someone else's perspective without taking offense. So it sets the tone for a discussion that is supportive, understanding, and empathic, because it's kind of like a verbal contract, right? To prioritize what's best for both people. And your brain immediately looks for solutions that respect those parameters of highest love for both. And this is an opportunity to build connection or greater meaning in relationships. Like when when my husband and I like sit down to like talk about stuff, that's the first sentence that we say.
Okay.
Because it's like an agreement. Like I'm here for me and I'm here for you, and you're here for me and you're here for you. So we should probably come up to, to the same place.
Which seems like it's probably easier with a parent who's already doing the work. And I'm assuming if you are a mother listening to this, you are doing the work. So
Maybe not. Maybe not. Because what's the highest love for them might be for you to like stop asking these questions.
facts. Facts. This is true.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no judgment when we have this intention, there's no judgment to wherever the other person is. And so if I said that to someone, like what I want is a highest love for both you and myself, and the other person is in the middle of a breakdown, it's clearly not the highest path for them right now to have this really ridiculous conversation that has to use a lot of logic and like writing things down or whatever. It's not the right place for them. So because I'm thinking of me and I'm thinking of you, and maybe they're not available to even think of you because they're stuck.
Right.
And that's okay. Like maybe we can wait.
Yeah.
Maybe there are certain conversations we just won't have.
So you also talk about becoming less defensive as the work deepens. What changes internally when someone no longer needs to attack or defend or protect every time that they're challenged?
When you set your intentions on love, learning the origins of your thoughts becomes an act of self-love, which becomes rewarding, enjoyable, and satisfying. It's an empowering way to rewrite your reality. And eventually you start to be less defensive when anyone offers opposing opinions or insights about you or anything else, whether their words are accurate or not, no longer holds the same weight as before. Your foundation is not rocked because you are already building a relationship with yourself where validation is internal. So you know what you're made of. You know what you're making anew for yourself. And this disables the need to attack, defend, or protect.
Now, I noticed that you didn't have our wonderful Tracy character forgive her mother. Why is that?
The forgiveness journey is a whole episode on itself.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Yeah.
And to the extent that we forgive ourselves is the extent that we can forgive others. And the only way to maximize how we forgive ourselves in our own self journey is to go through the journey, like gain some mastery over these 1 through 6 steps. Because like somebody on step 1 If we tell them, okay, now forgive your mom, forgive your kid.
Right.
Heck no. Are you kidding? She's like, no. How?
Yeah.
And how rude and disrespectful for that phase that you're in.
Right. Yeah.
Like let's just be where we're at. So the forgiveness thing that's why it has to be its whole other separate conversation. What I want to encourage is unconditional self-love, right? And that can lead to unconditional forgiveness. So let's just work on the first part.
Okay. Yeah. Let's get there first.
Yeah. Otherwise, we do conditional forgiveness, and it's like, I will forgive you if.
Ah, true. Right.
If you change.
Right.
But guess what? That is their sovereignty that you're messing with.
Gotcha.
I can't make decisions for other people. I can only make decisions for me. So how about instead of me focusing on what I want you to change, I just focus on me. And that's my self-love.
Absolutely.
And forgiving myself. I can do that.
I can do that. Yeah. So we're really lucky because you're offering a guided mother wound healing meditation as a bonus for all of us. So what did you design that meditation to do in the brain and nervous system when we listen to it?
My intention for this meditation is the pathway of highest love for all who listen. Okay. So it's a way to practice feeling loving emotions at will. Using neuroscience techniques to elicit happy, loving hormones. And eventually, you practice meditations over and over. And eventually it's easier and easier to pull these emotions up when you have a challenging day. Like there have been times where I'm just like, and I'm like, you know what? I feel love and wholeness. And I start to get a rush. I just get a rush of just like happiness. But that takes practice and time because I'm literally telling my nervous system what to do at that point.
And finally, Dr. Burgos, what's one piece of hope that you can leave us with about our capacity to move from wound to healing to wholeness, no matter how deep our mother wound story goes?
Your brain knows what to do when you ask it good questions, such as, and I know I've been killing this to death, what does the pathway of greatest love look like for this situation? What does the pathway of highest peace look like for this situation? What does the pathway of greatest respect look like in this situation? What does the pathway of highest fairness look like for the situation? So you see how you can just modify according to what you need in that moment.
Dr. Burgos, this has been such an amazing, in-depth conversation. I mean, my goddess. Like, woo! I feel like this is going to be one of those that I have to listen back to, even though I'm going to edit it. I'm like, I got to listen back to this outside of the work to like fully digest everything that was said here. It was so thoughtful, and I'm just appreciate the work that you do so much. So good for me as an individual as I work through healing my mother wound, and I know that's going to be so amazing for the collective. So thank you so much for being here. And where can people find you if you'd like to be found?
I have a YouTube channel. You can just search for my name there. And I'm building it up right now. But go back to all of the Three of Cups podcasts that we've done. Every single neuroscience podcast we've done is so awesome because they all build upon each other.
Yeah, so true.
So just go through them one at a time and take your own notes on your, on a piece of paper. And like, after you've refined your notes, like stick it on the wall in your room or in your space. And that's it. Then you're not studying my notes, you're studying your notes.
Right. Yeah. I love that. Well, Dr. Burgos, do you feel complete?
Oh, honey, yes. I love my wounds. I love them. And I just want to hug them. And like the other day, I stubbed my toe really hard. And I was like, oh, baby toes, I just want to love you. I love you. And like, whenever something happens in my body, in my life, I'm like, oh, I just want to love that part of me right now.
Yeah.
Because it's no longer a problem. It's an opportunity.
I love that. It's no longer a problem. It's an opportunity. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Big hug.
Big hug.
What an amazing episode. I mean, there is a lot to unpack there, so let me just sum it up real quick. Dr. Burgos helped us move from fear into curiosity and toward a kind of wholeness that doesn't require perfection, just a willingness to keep showing up for ourselves and doing the work. And y'all, if any grief or tenderness is coming up as you do this work, we have an entire grief theme you might find supportive. As my sweet little sister Jasmine always says, healing isn't pretty, but you don't have to do it alone. And we're here to help you through it. And Dr. Burgos' Mother Wound Healing Meditation is available as a bonus episode right after this one. And y'all, it is so cozy and soothing, I just know you're gonna love it. It feels like I'm being wrapped in a warm swaddle or something. So next week we're moving into the energetic lens with astrologer Lumia Light, where we'll explore the mother wound through astrology, including a reading of my birth chart. It's grounded, insightful, and really fun. And before we close, I just wanted to say that I couldn't find a link to safeexit.org, but I did find the hotline.org, which is the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and also stmarthas.org, which Dr. Burgos recommended. We've also included these links in our show notes. If you or someone you love is experiencing domestic violence or abuse, just know that you're not alone. There are people out there that are waiting and willing to help you. Just reach out. You got this. I'm Julienne Irons, and this is Perspective Shifts for Healing with the Hanged Woman. If this episode healed something in you, please like, share, and follow so we can keep the conversation going. Until next time, hang in there, Seeker.